Pasha Paroh, YN7. Thank you for tuning. You ever been you ever couldn't go somewhere or do something because your stupid little brother or sister couldn't go? Or sometimes worse, you had to take them with you, and you know that would just fuck up the whole thing, and you couldn't enjoy yourself the way you wanted to, right? And you know me, I like to give the equation. So when I say stupid in that example, I don't necessarily mean educational wise, knowledge based. You know, like I was in a position when I was younger where I was in a really, 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 really good school, and like one of the type of schools where you go to, it has kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. And by the time you got done 12th grade, you would have had like the knowledge of like a college graduate, basically. And there was a test required, you had to test a certain way to get into it. You had to be able to start a certain thought process, capability. And I say it like that because you're being tested before you even in kindergarten sometimes, you know what I mean, if you can get in or not. So, and my sister, I remember my sister couldn't get in. She tested multiple times and she couldn't get in. And mother's version of inclusion or what is the words now that people use? Diversity, equity, all that bullshit. Removed me out of that school and put me into the public indoctrination system, and so we could go, to the same type of schools to, bullshit. So anyway, I want to showcase how scale that up to reality, and we're going to cover today. This will be the topic today. Confronting the shadows, genocides, and the clash of consciousness. All right. And Pasha, what do you mean by that? Well, to get started with this all, we got to introduce the word for the people that may or may not already be familiar with its true meaning, not the common sense of what people believe it means, running around here using it, getting all emotional attached to belief and some shit that ain't fucking true, right? So here, the word minor, which is actually where you're getting the word minority from. All right. So as you can see here, the word minor in law is an infant or person under the age of legal competence. The wordplay here is important. And I know it says one under 21, which it explains to you later on that comes from an assignment of years. It was used in describing years like under some years old, right? Minority or infancy. So basically, an infant or a person under the legal or the age of legal competency. Well, if you go to a certain state, you might need to be 16 years old to have your driver's license. Well, at least there was a time. I don't know if it's still the same universally now, or if it's all been changed everywhere. You go to another state, quote unquote, they may tell you need to be 18. Now, despite how old you were, that part actually didn't matter. I mean, it did in what they're trying to tell you. To get your driver's license, you had to be at least this. But what they also required was you had to have studied, practiced, and be able to pass this certain test, right? What is it? You had to show competence or competency. So if you want to apply to something simple that may be easy for the Gen Pop to wrap their minds around, Minority would be all the years you live prior to being able to show the legal competency to get your driver's license. You would be a minority of a driver until you're old enough or at the age for you to show legal competency. Because there's people out here that maybe 30 years old and don't have their driver's license. Like, not to the point where they're in the knowledge that they don't need it, just to the point they never went and got it, never owned a car, never got behind the wheel of their own car or someone else's car, period. All right. So they would be a minor or of the minority when it comes to driver's license, because they're still for them, the age is still 30, and they're still under the age of, for them, of legal competence, right? All right. So now apply that to the rest of life, okay? Minority is not speaking about what you think is a skin color or a race when it comes to law. It's speaking about a competency level and being able to interact and function a certain way in society, right? And if you can't do that, if you don't have the competence, then you're a minority. Now, the problems that causes is, for those that view the United States corporation as a giant orphanage by definition, it's because they are responsible and in ownership of a bunch of minorities. If you're a United States citizen, you're viewed as a minority, period. Because the United States is an orphanage, it's responsible for everything for you. You look to it for all your rules, regulations, guidance, what you can't do. Just like a child will look to their teacher to let them know when recess is scheduled and when they have to take nap. Go look it up. Okay? Now, why is this important? It's important because, and again, take that and apply it to basically everything you think you know in life. I was talking to someone the other day who was kind of like, he wasn't bragging, but he was kind of very like, oh yeah, I got my license to fly my drone, and it's a hard test you got to take. And he was positioning himself in a nice little separate category because he has this license, and he was able to pass this test to get the license, which I was familiar with. And as far as the existence of the test and the license, because I was looking at it one day on YouTube, because I like to study everything, because you never know when you're going to need to know something about it or know of it. And it was photography related in the actual application that the subject in the video was speaking about. So, and I thought to myself, I'm speaking to someone, you can only go so far in conversation with people as far as they're willing to know themselves personally, actually, right? Because if you can't tell yourself you don't know what you don't know, then you'll never appreciate when someone gives you new information. You'll always be judging them as thinking something's wrong with you. And we're going to get to that in one moment here, how this all ties in as we confront the shadows, genocides, and the clash of consciousness. All right. So we have someone speaking from a conscious standpoint of the fact that you don't need a license, right? Because Murdoch versus Penn states that no state shall convert a liberty into a privilege, license it, and attach a fee to it. Everybody should have that on a piece of paper for themselves for quick reference, with a list of everything else they might want. I mean, keep that with you while you're riding around, because that's the authority. So if you got a license to fly a toy, and I mean, yeah, toys could be cheap, they could be expensive, but if you basically got a license to fly a toy, then I really can't speak to you about certain things, because you are of the mindset, you are of the minority that believes you need a license to operate your own property. Now, what the issue is? So that means that if there's 20,000 people on a continent, I can't even say America, but let's say in United States or the continent, because they're in the United States. But if there's 20,000 people on the continent that acquiesce or out of ignorance just goes along with the fact of getting a license to operate a toy with a camera on it, then that means when you fly your toy with your camera on it and you don't have a license, people that believe that they're the authority or believe they have the authority to tell you what to do is going to try and come and give you a hard time one day, possibly, for you standing on the law, standing on the truth, because there's 20,000 minorities that went along with the programming and they're assuming you should be one too. I see that's going to cause a problem eventually, one day, when they meet either the wrong person, right time, right person, wrong time. The same way we spoke about in traffic situations here on YNet 7. And they don't know what to do. And then you gotta go take it to the next level. And then that's when the real people with knowledge, not emotional attachments to beliefs, tend to be more observant of what the reality is instead of what the beliefs are. You may have to go through their system a couple times, but ultimately when you get to the top, the Supreme Case Warrant ruling, the standard opinion is no state shall convert a liberty into a privilege, license it, and attach a fee to it. So the same way you can't go somewhere or do something because you had to take your stupid little sister or brother couldn't go or do, you are now being questioned and interrogated because you were flying your toy without a license. Because all the 20,000 stupid little sisters and brothers studied for months, paid a fee, and now they want to extort you too, under the pretense that everybody else is doing it. See, that's called normative social influence. Now, if that's just flying a toy or using an automobile, what other issues do these 20,000, 100,000, 40 million, 400 million ignorant sisters and brothers affect you on a daily basis because you're perceived to be as ignorant as they are? Have you ever had your manager or supervisor, quote unquote, that you done told you your own boss, y'all work together on a common goal? Don't come at me with the attitude of I'm your superior, right? Especially in this time and day and age, knowing that most of the families don't have a male in the household creates a psychological predisposition for other males for other men nowadays to not respect supposed authority and hierarchy and leadership. This is why corporate America's fucked up. This is why the gang structure is fucked up nowadays compared to what it used to be 50 years ago. Because we're not used to being like, I have this title above you, so you need to respect what I say. No, it's this is where we try to get to, and here's how we need to get there. Are you with me or not? Like, who the fuck do you think you are? Right? send your your manager or supervisor an email talking about what you need them to do, and then they come back to you and tell you that you shouldn't be telling a supervisor what to do. Why do they come back to you and tell you that? Because a dumbass is too emotional and they can read but they don't comprehend words. You didn't tell them what to do, you told them what the fuck you needed. But see, they emotional got in the way and said, oh my God, you can't tell a supervisor what to do. I remember things like this. And you had to remind them that the word you used was what the sentence said, I need you to do A, B, C, and D ASAP. The supervisor, if they could comprehend, could either come back and say, well, that's going to take this amount of time or it can't be done. But no, they want to come back challenging you about how you can talk to the supervisor because they don't understand what a supervisor is supposed to do, right? This is the problem with supposed authority figures. They part of the stupid brothers and sister class. Now, that's not to say that where you at, your current attitude may or may not be a problem. The problem is when you can't accept that you don't know what you don't know. And then you want to try and impose your ignorance on someone else because you don't know that you're ignorant. That's when it's a problem. Just like that person that comes and acts as the authority figure and harasses you about your not having a license to operate an automobile or to fly a toy drone, whether it's expensive, complicated, high tech, whatever, it's still based on a toy. Now they want to bother you. See, because people don't know there's no money in circulation, they call themselves doing all these things to get money so that they can feel like they better than you, the person they want to call broke. Because they don't know that they don't own a home and they'll never own a home because they don't understand what a deed is. They want to feel like they better and make fun of the homeless person. Instead of us as a people standing up for everybody and saying there's no reason we should have to pay for homes, period. Then everybody can have one. No. You got to fight amongst each other, go jump through these hoops and hurdles. Because why? Because the stupid brothers and sisters appreciate the oppression factor and being oppressed. And the stupid brothers and sisters appreciate sucking dick to try and get ahead of their brother or sister so they can feel better than the brother and sister, so they can then tell you that they earned that position in life. Like those who saw the Tyrese video talking about haters and water running off the back of a duck and all this shit because he worked so hard to get in that position to be where he's at that he doesn't care what haters think. Well, you know, that's funny because in another video you're complaining about how Hollywood screws everybody over and what you had to do to get there, and then you got some people with the satanic worship, how they sold their souls and and all this, whatever people want to say, right? So they're very, very conflicted. I mean, do you honestly think you worked harder starring in a movie than the people out here on a construction site building a tower, a residential tower? Do you really think you worked harder than the people, the scientists, the engineers, and the construction people that put, despite what we think they're doing with it, do you think you worked harder than the people that built CERN, like CERN, CERN, the Hadron Collider, the atomic atom smasher? Do you think you worked harder than them? Come on, man, shut the fuck up. All right. You're an actor. So here's how we're going to tie this into confronting the shadows, genocides, and the clash of consciousness. All right. Because when you go and you look at, you get to the point where you can't talk to people, right? Let's say you get to reach a certain level of consciousness. You can't talk to people because you got communication barriers. Whether it's because of their emotional attachments to beliefs that they don't know shit about, so they don't know what's true, and they're trying to tell you that you don't know how to talk to someone because they don't know what the fucking words mean, and they don't ask questions because they're too dumb to ask questions when they don't know something. They'll rather just go talk shit about you behind your back because that's easier and it builds their acceptance against the rest of the dumb sisters and brothers, right? Because that's what dumb people do. They worry more about acceptance than being true. And that's the difference between normative social influence, if you want to look these terms up, and what's called informative social influence. So yeah, so you're going to find it, once you reach a certain level of consciousness or enlightenment, you're going to find it challenging to speak to people that aren't. You're going to find that you have different interests and capabilities. You're going to experience a difference in social dynamics. All due to a difference in cognitive processing. So Pasha, what are you tying this to? I'm tying this to, let's go to, because the issue is this. Ultimately, it don't matter how much knowledge you acquire. It don't matter how much money you can acquire. You pick your favorite rapper right now. I ain't gonna say your favorite one because all of them ain't done it, but there's a lot of high profile, let's say highly, they have access to a lot of currency, right? Social status, connections, networks, and they go to jail for a gun charge. You mean to tell me with all your money, all your currency, all your powerful network connections, all of this, all of that, you ain't had nobody that told you, dumbass, you don't need a license to have a gun? So see, it don't matter how many people you know if you know all the wrong people. It don't matter how much currency you have if the people you know to give it to aren't really there to help you. They just trying to get it from you. It don't matter. None of that matters if the people that you call your big homie is just trying to control you and see it as an opportunity to get leverage. All that quote unquote supposed currency, power, and you just as dumb, right? So obviously it doesn't matter how much currency you have. That don't mean shit. It don't matter how big your network is. That don't mean shit. I didn't win my court cases because I came there with a high-powered attorney. I didn't win my cases because I had 10,000 people standing outside cheering free Pasha. No, I won my court case by myself. There by myself. Because I am the truth. Not, oh, that's Pasha's truth. Oh, that's his truth or her truth. No, I am the truth. Now, if you're of the mind of a minority, you're going to challenge that someone can't operate on the truth. one person can't know the truth, because a minority, that is going to be too complicated for them to understand. And they'll have to go back to what they were taught, told, and familiar with of their position and their role. Because remember, minority isn't talking about skin color or race. It's talking about your level of competence mentally. So if you haven't reached the age of competence, then you don't, I can accept that you don't know the truth, which wouldn't be a problem if the minorities shut the fuck up when grown people are talking. But they all gotta speak their little and get their little emotions involved. And this is why you end up with LGBTQI community have to have equal rights. Because if they were aware of who they are, they would realize they already had rights. But just like US citizens, they act on privileges because they don't have the competency to know who they really are. So they go with what someone told them to be, so that they can get a political subdivision out of them, which makes them property. Yeah, that's what it is. Now they're property of the United States too. They're part of the orphanage. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. Let's look at 3 genocides: the Armenian genocide, Rwandan genocide, and Bosnian genocide. So in the Armenian, the Ottoman Empire, under the rule of the Young Turks, systematically targeted and killed an estimated 1.5 million ethnic Armenians, along with other Christian minority groups. There go that word again. Remember, don't just look at it as, oh, race and groups, and no, look at it as competency level. Because no matter what you want to say, if you're a US citizen, or even if they're looking at it as Christian, they're looking at it as a level of competency. This genocide was carried out through forced deportations, death marches, mass killings, and widespread atrocities. See, like, I remember telling people around 9/11 time period, I was like, I don't know why y'all tripping over Osama. Any billionaire in the world could become Osama tomorrow. I said back then, Bill Gates could quit tomorrow and buy enough AKs that he would make Osama look small. And everybody was like, oh, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. This, that, and the other. Blah, 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 blah. Until he started telling y'all to take a shot and why you had to get an injection. Maybe because he's tired of the interference of stupid brothers and sisters. So let's get rid of him, he might be thinking. All of them. Right? Kind of like the Armenian genocide. In Rwanda, an estimated 800,000 ethnic Tutsis, if I'm saying that properly, and moderate Hutus, if I'm saying that properly. If not, say it to yourself the right way and be satisfied. Were killed in a span of 100 days. They were killing 8,000 people a day. The genocide was orchestrated by extremist Hutu militias who used propaganda and incitement to fuel ethnic tensions and carried out mass killings using machetes, firearms, and other means. And I got my notes here. I did my homework for y'all like I usually do, because I don't want to be emotional. I want to be true. The Bosnian Genocide, 1992 to 95. During the Bosnian War, Bosnian Serb forces led Radovan, some names I can't pronounce. I ain't gonna say can't pronounce, but may not be right. Karadžić and Rato Mladic sought to create an ethnically pure Serbian state by targeting Bosniaks, which was Bosnian Muslims, and Croatians. Tens of thousands of civilians were gone, right? And numerous acts of ethnic cleansing, including mass executions, rape, and forced displacements took place. Now, if we go back to the Armenian Genocide, okay, it was during the Ottoman Empire's decline, and by coincidence, Pasha has meanings and values all around the world, which I really enjoy. Everything from Hindu, if you want to look it up. In the Ottoman Empire, it was a high-ranking official, political official, or high-ranking general. Okay, just by coincidence. So, Ottoman Empire was declining in the late 19th century and 20th century, early 20th century. Right, they saw a decline in the Ottoman Empire, faced significant challenges, including territorial losses and internal unrest. All right, it created a sense of insecurity among the ruling elite. Now, at the same time, you had nationalism and ethnic tensions. Nationalism was on the rise, increasing tensions between the different ethnic and religious groups within the Ottoman Empire, and that exacerbated existing divisions. See, united we stand, divided we fall. Armenians, as an ethnic and religious minority, faced discrimination and were viewed as a potential threat by the ruling authorities. And see, this is why you've heard me say over time, we're actually entering into what's going to be, you could say, is the final war. And it's going to be, I ain't gonna say the final war, but it's the war of consciousness versus the unconscious. Ironically, the people that are controlling the masses are part of the conscious level community. They're aware of shit that the average people don't know. They're enlightened, right? But they're using y'all as puppets to try and like exterminate or weaken those who are coming up through the ranks outside of their organization to reach the same enlightenment and power of knowledge, not power of like strength and all that shit, right? I can bench press 500 pounds. That's dumb as shit. I mean, it's cool, but when you're in the right state of mind as a collective nation, you don't need to be strong. The Egyptians didn't lift blocks using strength, they lifted using sound. So when you look at the hieroglyphics, you didn't see any bulky, buff Egyptians. You didn't see fat Egyptians even. You saw all of them look real slender, skinny, whatever, boom, boom. So if that's the case, that tells you they didn't have to do any heavy lifting. Why? Because they were in, their society was elevated to the point of technological advancement where you didn't have to worry about doing manual labor or need brute force of your own. Why? Because you were that enlightened. So the only people that celebrate shit are the people, you have to be of the mindset of not knowing. Yeah, you know what I mean? You gotta just not know. in order to find value, you know what I'm saying, in certain shit, right? Sound weaponry. They had nuclear weapons back then. I mean, everything you think we have today that you think makes us advanced, they already had in societies in the past where they're telling you that they were using bows and arrows and chisels. We got nukes today and we still got people hunting in the forest with bows and arrows right now. So what makes you think the same thing wasn't true back when they showing you a flint arrowhead talking about hunter and gatherers? See, that's the difference in thought process. This is part of the problem. Because you didn't realize that there was already free electricity, wireless electricity. You feel like the homeless guy needs to go to work and get a job to pay an electric bill because you do. So there were these massacres, right? Going back to the Armenian Genocide. There was these massacres, small in number at the time, small in scale, in the 1890s, so they say, under the rule of Sultan Abdul Hamid II. There was, a series of little massacres and violence attacks were carried out in different parts of the empire, and that started to stage like the precursor up to the larger scale genocide that would follow. Now, here's what happened though. World War I and the geopolitical context of it all, the outbreak of World War I in 1914 further complicated the situation here. It says in my notes, the Ottoman Empire allied itself with the Central Powers, Germany, Austria, Hungary, while the Armenian population, influenced by the nationalist movements, expressed aspirations for self-determination. Now, this is what I've been telling y'all is going to happen, because this is what's going to happen. See, Americans know the difference between America and the United States. United States citizens don't know there's a difference in many cases. That's problem number one. Because that means that when they're told that the Americans are the terrorists, they're going to believe that they are defending America by fighting for the United States corporation against America. Why? Because they're either ignorant because they don't know, or they're just sick in the head. Oh, Pasha, that's crazy. This, that, and the other. How could that ever happen? Why do you think the quote-unquote United States was fighting the Americans that they telling you was called Indians? Go back and look it up. What war was that the veterans came back from and wanted their money, wanted their check or whatever, and they went and marched on the Capitol? The veterans marched on the Capitol, set up camps on the Capitol of the United States, being DC, and the president, I forget his name at the time, called in the military. So the military, because when you're in the military, you're United States property. When you're back home, you're kind of like just a citizen, right? They didn't realize that they may or may not realize that they were Americans. But let's just say the veterans were not at that moment the same level of property of the United States, right, as the other property of the United States, being the United States military, even though they rode in on horseback, right? They called in the military. Guess what they did to their own veterans? They shot at them, set fire to their camps, called in the infantry, right? All right. So if you don't think they're not gonna have y'all fighting against America, again, what books have you been reading? So I put a post on my Facebook page. Go to Pasha Paroh on Facebook. I was just talking about this. My father and grandfather went to the military, and they fought for the United States. Why? They believed that was the best thing to do. A lot of y'all did the same thing because you wanted a GI Bill or funding for college, or you wanted to get some sort of benefit, or you believed you were fighting for America because you didn't know there was a difference between the United States and America. So now you could be in a position where your son or daughter says they fighting for America and they know you fought for the United States, and then the United States could call you to actually fight against your own son or daughter, cousin, mother, father, sister, brother, and you gotta kill them to win the battle. Oh, Pasha, that'll never happen. What are you talking about? I guess you don't remember the way they documented the Civil War. Brothers were fighting against brothers because they were split among which side of the fight they wanted to be on. This absolutely happens. So World War I and geopolitical context, the outbreak of World War I in 1914, while the Armenian population, influenced by nationalist movements, expressed aspirations for self-determination. So accusations and blaming, right? Here you are blaming the homeless person for them being like, fuck that. We not going to work. We not buying the product of a bank to be trapped in enslavement. And you call it, just because you call it a house and you feel special because you got a roof over your head that the bank is owning forever, and you think that you're going to pay it off one day and get this thing called a deed because you never studied what a deed was to know that the name on the deed is a tenant, which means that you're just like, you have an apartment at that point, and that's why you're still making payments on it even after you thought you paid it off. I mean, but only a cognitive certain level of competence would say that if I paid it off, why do I still have to make payments on it? Something has to make sense on some level to say that there's something greatly wrong with that. It just don't make sense to say you paid it off and still have to pay for it. But you're brainwashed, so you don't know no better, United States citizens. And when you hear Americans speak, you don't know that you're a minority, so you want to inject your opinions and beliefs, and now you're causing conflicts. And here go accusations and blaming. Number 5, the Ottoman authorities accused the Armenian population of collaborating with the enemy, specifically Russian forces, and engaging in acts of treason. They portrayed the Armenians as a threat to the empire's security and used these allegations as justification for their actions. Then you had the deportations and mass killings starting in 1915. The Ottoman government initiated a series of deportations, forcibly relocating Armenians from their homes to remote areas without proper provisions or protection. These deportations often resulted in mass killings, forced labor, and other forms of persecution. Scholars estimate that around 1.5 million Armenians lost their lives during this period. Now, of course, there's the one that's gonna come to mind and be the big one that people think about. And there's smaller ones too when it comes to atrocities. But let's look at what at least these three have in common real quick. Ethnic and religious tensions. All three genocides were fueled by deep-rooted ethnic and religious tensions. In each case, there were divisions and historical grievances between different groups within the respective societies. Now, when you look at the word religion, for those that have reached that point of articulation in technology, because technology originally referred to the grammar, not what you think it wasn't your cell phone. All right. This is part of the problem. You're not properly using technology because you don't know that it's grammar, so you think words are meaningless. The word religion is a ritual. It's whatever you do. See, they're attacking you not just with the book, what you think is the biblical book. They got your religious. Oh, eat 3 meals a day. Eat this, eat that. Don't eat this, do that. We grow all your food. We do this. We bring in the water for you. We can own the water and the land. You can't have none. Those are all rituals. Go to work, get this money. Oh, wait, there is no money. Well, what are you doing? You're getting a product of a company. So of course they want to give you reasons why to keep their product in circulation. That means they got to keep producing it. That means they're in control, they're in power, they're in demand. That's why you go and have a job and have to pay for your Maserati the way that you pay for it, because somebody's telling you to keep their product circulating. You don't know that you should be able to pay for it another way. You don't know that your whole life is supposed to be prepaid. You just want to blame the homeless man for taking up space on the sidewalk, because that gives you a reason to get all the tension and frustration out from your boss telling you how to send the email. You take it out on the homeless guy instead of standing up to your boss and telling your boss that he need to go check his dictionary and see what the word mean when you told him you needed something. So that next time you're not as frustrated and built up with all this anger because you didn't speak your mind to the people that control your life because you were afraid. Now, nationalism and identity politics. Nationalism played a significant role in these three genocides, with the manipulation of ethnic and natural identities, as well as the use of nationalist ideologies were employed to mobilize one group against the other. So what's going to happen is Americans are going to be on this side of the conscious spectrum. And I'm not saying every American is going to be experts all the way across the board in all these different categories. I mean, that's where I think we need to set our destination to be. And I have plans for us to arrive there once we reach critical mass to execute. The United States is not going to like that. As you can see, they're already implementing measures to control your funds digitally, and they want to give you a social credit score to help make sure that you don't enjoy being American in America. I just need to know who wants to be on what side. Political instability and power struggles. Each of these genocides occurred during periods of political instability and power struggles. Weak governance, political rivalries, and power vacuums created an environment in which extremist ideologies and actions could gain momentum. Kind of sounds like your Fisher-Price fake-ass government right now is leading and heading towards that direction. See, that's your government. Like, if you feel like you have a government above you instead of having a chief of staff to supply we the people. See, a chief of staff is your staff. That means we the people. That's why you're supposed to tell them what to do, what you need, what you want. No. You don't go into Walmart arguing about who the general manager is. You just ask to speak to the manager when you need them. See, y'all believe United States citizens, y'all believe y'all are Walmart. So if you are Walmart employees, then you got to go and do what Walmart tells you to do when Walmart tells you to do it. See, I'm the customer. I'm America. And if Walmart ain't doing the job, there's other stores that we can set up in the same space that Walmart was. That's how this works. And the problem is, if you want to be a part of Walmart, when Walmart's going out of business and being replaced, being removed, you chose that. That's how they're going to say it. So if the U.S. collapses tomorrow with that, debt ceiling crisis, let's just say that comes up, and then they can't pay whoever they owe money, whatever to, and China says, well, guess what we want? We want your assets. Like they're going to do in Africa. And all the other countries that they done gave loan to and built their infrastructures up for them, made these little deals. They're just waiting for them to default. So guess what the assets are? You. Yeah, you're part of the property. So what do you think China gonna do with you when it's the form or fashion that now they own you like property, if you already were looking at how they treated their own people for the last 20, 30 years, 50 years, whatever? They can't wait to get you guys as property, all because you don't know who you are. See, they're not going to be able to take the Americans because the Americans aren't on the balance sheet. It's a bunch of different applications for this. This is why there's going to be some sort of conflict one way or another. So we're encouraging that you all take time to learn this so that you're on the right side when the time comes. Because then you have, in all these three things, all these three genocides also share dehumanization and propaganda. So dehumanization and the spread of propaganda were common tactics used in all three cases. The targeted groups were often depicted as threats, enemies, or subhuman, justifying violence and fostering an environment conducive to mass atrocities. When's the last time you heard someone telling someone they were subhuman? Don't act like that was the first time it happened. Some of y'all are lucky, have the luxury of knowing about the Georgia Guidestones before it was destroyed. Don't tell me you don't understand dehumanization and depopulation. Don't be out here supporting these people up here talking about eat food that's alive, be fruit, be vegetables, be what have you, because this and that is dead and they're poisoning your food and this, that, and the other. They're trying to kill you, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. Don't be out there supporting that shit and tell me you don't understand this. Somebody's trying to kill you off. Don't be out there talking about HMO, GMO, whatever, GHMO, number 9 on the fruit, number 4 on the fruit. Don't be out here having this conversation and then not be ready to fight for America. See, that's how stupid some people look. Because they'll be out here with all this propaganda. Some of it may be facts, some of it may be whatever, But the truth is, if you're not trying to be American, you're going to go back to the United States. And when you do, guess what they're going to have for you there? All the food you're saying you don't want, you're going to eat it there. If you get to eat it all. What do you think follows after they're playing for you when they're telling you you're going to own nothing and be happy? What do you think comes next? They already know that you don't own your home and your car and all that stuff, but you don't. But what do you think is going to come next after they break that news to you? What do you think is going to follow that conversation? You think this is a game? You wonder why we don't want to go to the office and sit next to you? Because we can't see ourselves. It takes so long. It takes so much energy to not like just choke you the fuck up sometimes. And then once you choke one up, you might as well choke them all, right? Because you can't be successful in this and go and say, oh, we're going to go and take this land over here and we're going to stay here and this is going to be us and we're going to create this utopia, because the stupid brothers and sisters will get mad that they can't come, and then they'll go cry to the little parents in the orphanage saying, we want to be able to go there too. You've seen this before. And then they'll come and say, hey, excuse me, our kids want to play with your kids at the park too. And you're either going to have to accept the entry or you're going to have to go to war to prevent it. And you've seen this over and over again. So we already know where this is going. Now you have international factors in response. So in each case of those 3 genocides, there were complex international dynamics and varying degrees of response from the international community. Factors such as geopolitical interests, diplomatic challenges, and the issue of intervention influenced the international response or lack thereof. You wondering why the rest of the world making fun of America? Because they think the United States to them is America. They're making fun of the United States and we're being laughed at because they think that the ignorance that the United States portrays represents America. And you know what? We're tired of being laughed at because you have the camera on you because it's your camera. We're not mad that you got the camera. We're mad that you keep it on you. And now the rest of the world think that we're you. We're not you. And you're not us. And it's becoming a much bigger problem. Then you got the role of leadership. The actions and decisions of the political and military leaders played a crucial role in all 3 genocides. Their policies, their rhetoric, their directives, shaped the course of events and facilitated the widespread violence and systematic killings. See, when we talk about propaganda, remember, you believe you need a driver's license when you're not a driver. You believe you are a driver. So they pull people like me over because they're used to what you believe. Because they didn't know the difference maybe between me and you until we had the conversation. And then based on their ignorance level, they may make the conversation more problematic than it needs to be, and then all kinds of shit goes left. Or you gotta go still spend time and fight it another way, whether it's with a notice of negative environment or actually going and presenting a case in court. Why? Because you and me can be confused for each other. Until one is gone. Until there's a purity of knowing that we are all equal. Right now, they don't know the difference. They don't know who's who. So I can see why certain points there's a clash where people want a purity, a cleansing. And now, if you asked me 20 years ago, I wouldn't have comprehended it. But at today's point, after experiences and after the stupidity that you witness day in and day out that affects you and your life, and because dumbasses thought that they really had some sort of need to wear a mask and this, that, and the other, and they were calling the cops on you because you didn't have your mask on. This is the propaganda, dumbass shit that we are affected by because of your ignorance, United States citizens. And it happens over and over and over again. And it affects every single thing you do and we do in life because of you. I think America's a little tired of it. Now here's what we can expect is going to happen. There's going to be a resistance from those in power. The existing power structures, of course, are going to resist such changes as it could challenge their perceived authority and control over resources. Those who benefit from the current system may be reluctant to relinquish their privileges and may use their influence to maintain the status quo. That translates into they're going to use the propaganda machine to turn the United States citizens into a different type of zombie, or flip on the zombie mode switch to make y'all see us, America, as your enemy. It's going to be some economic implications. See, implementing a system where everything is free and everybody has access to what they want and need. I don't care if it's a Bugatti. It shouldn't be no reason why everybody don't want a Bugatti. Everybody right now, if you talk to 100 people, 80 people gonna be like they're afraid to go 200 miles an hour. They're not going to buy a Bugatti. Even if it was free, they're not going to want the Bugatti because they don't value what a Bugatti does. The dumb shit is y'all believe that if you had access to everything that somebody would want to go out and everybody would want to own a Porsche. That's not the case. People are still going to like what they like for the reasons they like it. They just won't have to force themselves through atrocities on a daily, called a job or called robbing the neighbor or calling whatever it's called, so that they can feel like they got something that the next person don't, or simply they got what they wanted in life. Because everything in life is supposed to be prepaid, because hell, they took all the real money from you. There's none in circulation. But you don't know that either, because you're living in your little dream world under a sedative state. So implementing a system where everything is free will require significant changes to the economic infrastructure. But you see, that's already coming because they're going to have automation. Everything's going to be automated. We talked about this on a couple of the previous videos on YD7. Go check them out. So it would involve redefining concepts of ownership, resource allocation, and wealth distribution. They're already telling you you're going to own nothing and be happy. The difference is they're telling you what they are going to do instead of you standing up for what you want. This shift could face resistance from industries and individuals who rely on the existing economic framework. So even if we were to be in control of this to make it a good thing, guaranteed, like without the corruption factors, you're still going to have the dumbasses that are going to want to fight it on the U.S. citizen side because their emotional attachments to status of being better than someone because they make more what they think is money or currency and having access to things that the gen pop maybe other people don't have because they done sucked enough dick to get in position to be working or making $250,000 a year or whatever they make that makes them think that they're better and they can pay a $2,000 a month car payment. They're going to now have to watch people just be able to wake up and have access to the same thing that they have without any of that shit. And they're not going to want to give that over to people because they suck so much dick that now they're going to want to understand why they had to suck the dick if you don't have to suck the dick. See, that's the problem. So those emotional attachment people in the United States mental consciousness complex is going to then want to fight because they want to save the dick sucking route to get the Bentley. Addressing corruption. Okay, so we're going to have to address some corruption. Corruption can undermine the efforts to create the basically an equal society. Eliminating corruption would be crucial to ensure that resources are allocated fairly and transparently. Building robust anti-corporation or anti-corruption measures and fostering a culture of accountability would be essential. See, once you get to the right state of mind, see, y'all talking about y'all from this state, I'm this state, I'm this city, this we do this here, we do you, yeah. Once you get to the right state of mind, you get rid of certain shit because it doesn't exist in that state of mind. When you go to Dubai, people be like, "Oh, Dubai is the safest place in the world." Now, whatever they did over there, I don't care if they cutting your hand off or whatever they doing, whatever they did over there, it got a state of mind of the people in that area that it's going to be the lowest crime rate place in the world. See, once you get a certain state of mind, you don't have to worry about certain shit. So instead of this is where you start to come in the state of mind of, oh, get rid of the other states of mind. Because then when they walk outside, they know that everybody around them shares the same thought process. So they very similar thought process. So when you get a Bill Gates with the capability and access and currency in the account to go start the genocide, this might be why they're doing it. Would you do it? Overcoming inequality mindset. Shifting from a society marked by inequality to one of equal access and opportunity will require addressing deep-rooted social attitudes and beliefs. That's what I was just saying. Overcoming jealousy, envy, and a desire for status and recognition would be a significant challenge, as people might struggle with the idea of everyone having the same privileges and possessions. You know what? If you can't handle it, get rid of y'all. I mean, that would be the path of least resistance. If you're going to be allow the United States propaganda, if you're going to allow the central banking system's currency product to manipulate your mindset to feel like someone shouldn't have access to what you have access to, and you're going to be turned against your brother, which you see it already in families. Oh, I went to college and I have a brand new this and a 5,000 square foot home, and I don't speak to the rest of my family because they're just poor and broke and they didn't want to work for nothing in their life. And I went to Harvard and, sucked the professor's dick to give me a fucking A. And the damn degree didn't mean nothing, so I had to suck dick in what we call a network of dick suckers to get in position to suck the dick of the people that gave me the job where I suck dick daily to be able to afford so I am mad at the rest of my family because they are not dick suckers, and because they are not dick suckers, they cannot have access to dick sucker things. That's why I am better than them. I mean, that's what it sounds like. Because you like getting fucked. You want everybody else around you to get fucked too, right? So ensuring sustainability and resource management. We're going to have to do that too. All right. Providing free access to resources on a large scale would necessitate careful planning and management to ensure sustainability. You know, I've been doing this for years, trying to build the mindset of the people around me to understand what changes need to be made to have a sustainable community. So strategies for resource allocation, energy conservation, waste management, and environmental stewardship would need to be implemented to prevent overconsumption and depletion of resources. All right. We're going to need to redefine education and skill development. In a society where, Pasha, why are you telling them what we're going to have to do? Because fuck it, they already know what we got to do. And the only people that aren't speaking about it are us. Right? And the United States citizens, excuse me. The leadership of the United States is telling you, yeah, we're going to leave no child behind. Just pass them all through. We're not teaching them nothing anyway. We want them to be dumb as shit because we just want them to be dependent upon us. And we send on all the jobs over to China back then, and and we're just gonna make them. We're just gonna make everything so they're dependent upon us. We're taking all the resources. Nope, you can't collect rainwater for yourself. No, that's illegal. You gotta get the water from us. We want full control of your life. They're telling you this shit. The United States citizens are the ones sitting there. No, we're scared to talk about this because they're going to come and get us. Look, they already know who I am. I've won court cases myself. Once you do that, you show up on a list. I'm already on the list. Whatever they're going to do with that list, when they get to that point where they get to that list, I'm on it already, okay? So there's no point in me for the last 15, 20 years being concerned about them thinking they know I know what I know. They already know I know what the fuck I know. They knew before I even knew that I knew what I knew. That's why they had me in these special programs and classes and this, that, and the other, trying to groom me to go and be great for them. And that's why my life is made challenging, because I'm choosing America instead of the United States citizens. And they're like, fuck, that was like our top dude right there. We were going to do A, B, and C, and D with them. And he's on the other side. So y'all think y'all don't understand the dynamics of what happens to us. Y'all just think y'all better because, your credit score goes up and does this and that and the other. You feel like, you're doing something better than the next person. You didn't understand that the social credit score system been already over here for decades. So we're going to have to foster a culture of continuous learning. All right. We're going to have to basically, let me start this section over so I make sure I didn't miss nothing for you. But when we redefine education and skill development in a society where everything is free, the traditional notions of education and skill development would need to be reimagined. Remember, most of these jobs, most of these skills are going to be no longer needed because they're going to be simple tasks that a computer can do, automation process. So a lot of stuff is going to be automated and not even exist for the need for human interaction to be a part of, for better or for worse, right? But that's going to mean that people that were doing it don't have to do it. So we're going to have to foster a culture of continuous learning, creativity, and innovation that will be crucial to ensure personal growth and collective progress. See, and if this works right and everything's automated, that's going to, as I said in the other videos where I showed the scientific study and proof, that's going to force everything to go racing towards a zero cost to produce anything and everything. So the Bentley, I mean, I get it that it's like handmade, but if it becomes automated like a Honda, like the full process be automated, like it would be no more reason for a Honda to cost anything. You get what I'm saying? So that means that if it doesn't cost anything to produce, now there's no reason why you need to pay something for it, because it was free to make, it was free here. The earth was here already. All you were doing is transforming earth. That may have went over some people's heads, but the YNet 7 crew is strong with their mental, so I know it made some sense to you. So ensuring, two more things here, ensuring motivation and productivity. But let me go back. So basically, once everything becomes free and there are no more jobs, really, so to speak, the only thing you will need to do is just be creative in life and enjoy yourself. And if you have a religion or a spiritual quest, just go on, do it. Be that. Be you. Because you haven't been, because you've been so focused on paying bills or paying for the one trip you want to take this year, or that you had to do all this other shit. I don't care what your checkbook looks like. I don't care if it's big or small. I don't care if it's got 8 digits or 7 or 2. Like, chances are you get to a certain point where you're only doing it because you're wanting to sustain the lifestyle you created for yourself. Like, you really don't enjoy that shit maybe the way you did 5 years ago. That's why you think you hired this other people to do it for you. Call yourself a business owner. No, it's because you didn't want to do it then, so you got someone else to do it because you didn't enjoy it. If you enjoyed it, it wouldn't matter how much money you had. You would still be out there doing it. So everybody out there, look around yourself. Look at the people talking about they own a business or they got this much money, and see, do they do what they say they do? No, I don't mean can they get you the product they say that they create or make. I mean, do they do it? If they don't do it, it's because they don't like doing what they have other people doing for them. Now, why would I want to put, I've never put someone in a position to do something that I wouldn't want to do. If you enjoy doing it, cool, I'm gonna put you in a position of what you enjoy. But I'm not going to set it up in a fashion of where it's something that I wouldn't enjoy doing if I were you. So I can't be proud of having 90,000 employees when 87,000 of them hate coming to work every day. But United States citizens can be, because they believe in worshiping this thing called the dollar. Because they're fucking insane and they don't know it. And then they go to these churches that tell them don't be worshiping false idols, and then the church asks for more of the false idols from them, called the dollar. And they don't see the insanity of their whole life. And then when you come as an American and tell them how it's so insane, they feel like something's wrong with you because of the propaganda they worship from their oppressors. Ensuring motivation and productivity. So in a society without financial incentives or competition based on wealth accumulation, motivating individuals to contribute and be productive could be a challenge. Creating an environment that values personal fulfillment, collaboration, and societal progress would be necessary to foster motivation and productivity. I'm going to add that once everything becomes free and all you need to do is just be creative. I mean, granted, some people just gonna want to go to the beach, and you know what's gonna happen? A percentage of them might be like, I'm gonna just be here for the rest of my life, right? And then there's gonna be a percentage of them that's like, you know what? They're gonna go there thinking that that's what they want to do for the rest of their life. They're gonna get hit with a couple of hurricanes or storms here and there. They're gonna enjoy themselves. They're gonna rebuild, and then eventually they're gonna say, you know what? I want to go over here and do this now at some point, and then they're gonna be free to go do that. And wherever that was, for as long as they want to do that, wherever it is, as long as they ain't fucking with nobody else's shit, fucking them up, right? See, because that's the problem. They're going to be able to do that. And what I think is going to be a byproduct of it from everything I can see, is innovation is going to skyrocket, because now all the ideas that you have at that moment, that you're like, fuck, I got this good idea, but like, I don't have time to build it. I don't have time to do research. I don't have time to study. I don't have parts. I don't have the machines to put it together. I don't have a team. I don't have this. I don't have that. And I got to go to work tomorrow so I can keep the lights on. That idea dies right there. But now you'll be able to be the next Tesla. I mean, Nikola Tesla. You want to practice spirituality? You'll be able to be the next monk. Whatever it is, idea you have, you would be free. And because everything is free at that moment, you will have full power in your ability to go after that idea and dream to bring it to reality. That is what they want to prevent. They want to prevent the ideas from flowing freely. Why is it that there's only 50 car makers, manufacturers in the world that you can think of? If you probably 30, I don't know how many there are. I mean, I'm talking luxury, high end. I'm talking about supercar. I'm talking about Pinto. I'm talking about Ford. I'm talking about, when you start naming the different car makers, I think there's 30 of them. I'm just throwing a number out there. You know me, I'll tell you when some shit I don't know. I know I talk a lot, but I normally only talk about what I know. But there are times like this where I'll be like, I don't know exactly. But I know there's probably like 30, maybe 50. Somebody can Google that, put that in the comments, exactly how. Why isn't there 25 people in your state right now producing cars? Now, granted, they may not be making 15, 20,000 of them a month like Ford, but I mean, why isn't there 25 different people producing cars? And no, I'm not really gonna count the people that do the custom cars and don't have their branding on it. You know what I mean? They're just putting a hot rod together for you or something like that, because that's more just like going to a mechanic. I mean, they may be skilled. Don't take that wrong. I'm not saying that, but I mean, as this being their brand, like this is what I do. I make cars. Why doesn't every state have 25 people that's doing that? 50 people, 100 people. We got 10,000 people making t-shirts because that's cheap. You can get a t-shirt maker $15. A good t-shirt printer is $1,000. I mean, it's cheap. So it's accessible to the masses. But there was a period of time where even that wasn't cheap. And you had to go to the print shops. I mean, when I say print shops, I mean like the shirt maker people with the embroidery machines. And it was a business with a brick and mortar, and they had a building. And because they put so much investment into it, that you had to go to them and pay $300 for 5 shirts and 2 hoodies, and then go out there and try to flip them. And then the hoodie was $90 because you had to spend $45, $60, $70 of that just to get it made. See, but once everything becomes free, now you can really do what you want. Why hasn't nobody else come up with, why hasn't all these people that went to college, why ain't nobody come up with, I'm producing a power plant? Why don't we hear that? Why? You see what I'm saying? So innovation is going to be there. It's going to totally change the game for everything. Production, connections, networking, just an awe. Last one, managing social dynamics. The shift towards a society with equal access and opportunities could potentially impact social dynamics and interpersonal relationships. Navigating issues of identity, self-worth, and social hierarchies would require ongoing dialogue, support systems, and a commitment to fostering inclusivity and empathy. And that's what you get at Y-7. That's what we've been doing for a long time. We've been building a foundation so you understand the value. So when it becomes time to invest, you'll know what you're investing in. And that time is now. I'm Pasha Paroh, YNS7. Thank you for tuning.